work in progress, right? So this is what we're gonna do. Yay, John, you're alive.
Great.
With your phone in your hand.
All right.
And
Put your headphone back on.
all right, we're good. So anyway, what we're talking about, the meat processing, right? So we lost the cyberspace attack, the cyberspace attack on the meat processing, and how that can affect us in terms of food delivery and food cost, right? So they're saying now that what we call in the West Indian, we say the word scarce.
Scarce in food?
Yeah, scarce in food. So that is causing an issue, right, that needs to be resolved. There's a lot of attacks going on now, John, and they blame it on the Russian, right? So the Russian is the one responsible for the attacks. Yeah.
Doesn't go up any higher.
Yeah, it does, but every time you put it up, you keep sitting back down
right.
before the chair goes up.
Let me go raise my seat at everybody. So watch me raise.
So everybody can see John, right? So I'm telling John to raise the seat. All right, because everybody, all
right, let's get on. My seat is raised.
My seat is raised. All right, Andre, can we adjust the camera a little bit so that we can see John a little more on camera? He's much better looking than me.
No, I think you're a lot better looking than me.
I guess today. Okay. All right. So basically, I forgot what I was talking about. So
you're talking about the meat and the
Russian, right?
The Russians and the hacking that's going on.
Yeah, what's going on with Russia, man?
Well, Russia's sometimes they're playing chess while we're playing checkers, and I think what has stymied, especially that whole, I think it was not the transportation company, there was a company in Virginia or something like that led to the increase in fuel along the Northeast corridor. And now with the hacking of one of the biggest meat manufacturers in this country. So what I think they're doing strategically, that they're attacking industries that have an impact on everyday people. We're talking about fuel, which is needed for the transportation. Now we're talking about food. So we really have to be concerned about the cyber terrorism that it exists. And we need to, I believe we need to do tit for tat with respect to, we know where it's coming from, but there's so much talking and understanding that Russia and Putin will understand. Their concern is to continue to be the superpower that they want. So the United States has to understand that, and we have to address it accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. But I mean, this is 2016 election. Then we had another cyber attack, a couple months ago?
Correct.
And now we have this. Yeah, listen, I have a question though, John. You were in politics for a little bit. Maybe you can answer this question. Why is it that the prices go up and they never go back down?
Why prices go up and never go back down?
Why? Like, in other words, there's no crisis, right?
Right.
And COVID is over.
COVID is not over.
That's what I don't mean it like that. I meant like you're able to move about more than you were able to move about last year.
Because people are getting vaccinated. Yes.
Yes, the vaccination and trying to move toward herd immunity, right?
And the level of hospitalizations are down.
Significantly.
Yeah, significant.
Why
there was no death a couple of days ago, yeah.
Why there was no death?
There were no recorded death. I think it was yesterday. From COVID. Yes.
That is
in New York. In New York.
That is excellent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question becomes, if this is happening and they raised the price during COVID because technically they couldn't move about, why are they not moving the prices back?
There's a sense of recovery that has to happen. There's a lot of revenue that was lost, and you can tell the city is on the track of trying to increase their revenue, because I see all the ticket agents out there, man, and they are giving tickets
like no tomorrow. I'm just pissed off. Like, it's like they know that people were paying those prices. It's like, okay, you were paying the prices, so let me just keep the price. What do you think about that, Dr. Brian? They raise these prices during these times, but they're not even thinking about, let me lower them back to ease the burden from people.
They're not going to.
You're breaking
you
up.
can make money off of people. Why would you do that? Why would you reverse? Can you hear me now?
But it's not about, yeah, I can hear you, but you're still a little bit frozen. But I mean, that's a problem for me. You know, that's where I just feel that that's just fiscal irresponsibility, not fiscal responsibility.
I disagree.
I
disagree because the hit that was taken during that COVID period of time, how you think they're going to recover? How long you think it's going to take to recover? You have to recover in order to be able to maintain.
So the average American, American citizen, American person who lives here, they have to constantly hurt their pockets for that.
Nobody's saying they have to constantly hurt their pockets, but there's an understanding. There's an understanding when we can get back to the level we were to pre-COVID. At that point in time, I believe that the prices should then come down.
But it's not. It never does.
But how do you know? We just got back.
But it's not. Okay. Wait. Hold on.
The restaurants just opened. Things just started to open. So what are you talking about?
All right. Take a good look at Verrazano Bridge.
What about the Verrazano?
The Verrazano Bridge was supposed to collect enough taxes, which is tolls, right? Which are tolls, right? To cover the cost of building the Verrazano Bridge. You know what happened? The price on the Verrazano Bridge increased to almost $20. They have paid for that bridge 1 million times over, but they have not even said, you know what? Let me lower the taxes. Let me do this.
What do you think the maintenance of that bridge and those who
it ain't that much money that
how do you know that? When's the last time you did a fiscal audit of the revenue that has been generated by the Verrazano Bridge and the cost to maintain it? When's the last time you did that?
I don't have to do that.
Oh, but you are able to sit here and speculate that the money that they have received is far in excess of the services that have been provided.
Is a crock of baloney. They need to
you got roads and bridges. You look at the road. You look at the road. The maintaining of the roads and the bridges. What do you think that you think that's inexpensive?
Oh no, I'm not saying that they shouldn't charge for the toll. I'm saying the price for the toll is absurd. I mean, I went on a bridge. It was $20. Are you kidding me? Who pays $20 for tolls?
Well, you're paying $20 to come into New York or outside of New York or outside of the city and going to Staten Island.
That's why people don't. Hey, Joe, you think that's why people are moving, right?
That is. We can't afford it.
Everybody says you can't afford. Can't afford what? What can we?
You can't afford to leave or come back in New York.
Look at Jersey. Going into Jersey is very expensive. Coming back from Jersey into New York is super expensive. They did break up the price of the Verrazano Bridge because it used to be like $16 or $18. Now it's one way. They try to make you feel as though you're paying less. So maybe it's $8 one way.
Going and coming. So now you got to pay both ways as opposed to one way like they were doing before. It's still the same amount of money that you're paying. And if you go from the Gothel to the Verrazano, it's like $28 that you're paying in tolls, almost $29. It's ridiculous. What time is our first guest scheduled to be on?
It's ridiculous, but
and costly for my pocket.
Costly for your pocket.
No, not just my pocket, for the average American citizen.
Of course.
And the average New Yorker. Good afternoon. Kaja, how are you? Yeah, I can't hear you on your volume, so you got to turn on your mic.
Hello.
You're muted.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Kaja. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I was having a conversation with Andre, and I want to know how to pronounce your name. Khadijatu.
Good job. Yes, you almost sound like my father.
And where's the origin of that name? What does it mean?
West African, Liberian. It means love, beauty, and intelligence.
West Africa is not a country.
Yeah, Liberia. I said Liberia, and it means love, beauty, and intelligence.
Love, unity, and intelligence.
Beauty.
Love, beauty, and intelligence.
Yes.
Well, all of that in one name.
Yes, my parents. It's my parents.
So which part of the name is love? Which part is beauty? Which one is intelligence?
I think they're all in one.
All in one.
Yes.
Yes, I believe you.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you join us right here on the Village Talk Show. I'm here with Kaja Lindsay, who is a fitness and health specialist. And we're going to spend some time today, maybe about 15, 20 minutes, talking about your health and what it is that you have to do. So join us right. Thank you for joining us right here in the Village. Kaja, welcome to the Village.
Thank you for having me.
Right. It's all about the community, empower the community to do what they have to do to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, right? Through education. Yeah. So let's educate. Let's start the education. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Keisha Lindsay. I am the founder and CEO and creator of ENsyde LLC, which is a health and wellness product-based business that was birthed out of the place of my pain and my experience battling multiple sclerosis. So that's how I was birthed. I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a child of the King. I am a lover of all things health and wealth and God. What would you like to know?
I thought you were going to stop at I am a lover. And then kumbaya. I thought that's where you were going to stop. All right. You know, so I just want to be clear. You pause for a moment right there and they say, oh, my husband is listening.
Yes. Maybe.
Lucky man. That's all I can say.
All of them things. She's all of those things in one, right?
Amen.
You know, I hear you, Kaja. I hear you.
So, Kaja, can you tell us how we can get to the level where you're at?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Can you, as the kids would say, can you give us some science or some knowledge so we can be at your level?
And which level are we referring to here?
Not the lover part, the health part.
Okay.
That's a little bit about.
I'm talking about all parts.
John. Well, you could include that too, but go back and
don't pay them no mind about that.
Okay, all right, Dr. J.
Start from the beginning. Where are we at?
Okay. Well, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and back in February of 2013. After like a whole year battle back and forth from specialist to specialist, doctor to doctor, trying to figure out what was going on with me. I had numbness, weakness, tingling, double vision, and my hands are cramping, and just like, what the heck is going on? They're working me too hard, so I didn't know what was going on. So fast forward, like I said, from doctor to doctor, specialist to specialist. I went to the hand center. They tested my muscles. They didn't find anything. They said I needed to talk to a shrink. So many wrong, answers and responses. And then one day I woke up, and this is all a really fast forward version. The numbness has shifted from my right arm and hand, from my chest down to the soles of my feet. And I'm just like, all right, Lord, if you're going to take me out, just make sure my kids is good and my husband don't marry his ex, And so I was like, and I went to see a neurologist because one of the specialists did recommend I should see a neurologist. And then that's when we finally got answers. They saw the white matter disease in my brain and the lesions. They ordered, of course, MRIs and tests like that. And they saw the lesions on my spine and the white matter disease in my brain. And I was more relieved, like, okay, finally answers. I knew I wasn't crazy, And I didn't know anything about multiple sclerosis, MS, So I'm like, all right, let's go. What's next? Let's get this treatment. What's up? They like, yeah, there's no cure for this. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just medication to slow the progression of the illness.
Doctor, do you have to get fusion
and infusion treatments? Yes. Yes.
A good friend of mine, she has multiple sclerosis and
twice. And that's all new because I went through medications on this journey. I think I went through about 3 medications and that's at one point I stopped. I just was like, you know what? I'm done. I was about 100. I lost 100 pounds on this journey. I mean, this is, like I said, this is all jumbled into this short story. I started juice and detox and do smoothies, and I just decided I'm taking the health back into my hands. I did a lot of research. Research is key with anything you're doing. You want to research, you want to, see what's out there and know what's best for you. So I did a lot of research and a lot of experimenting, and I found the green smoothie to be effective for me. And detoxing and doing green smoothies, I lost 100 pounds.
What kind of smoothie was that? Gray smoothie?
Green.
The
Have
color.
one for dinner now. Yes.
Okay, let me see.
I love green smoothies.
So what's it? I need to have some green smoothies. Too.
Yes, you do. They're really good.
I seriously need to have them because I said I'm iron deficient.
Oh wow! So yeah, you definitely should have a smoothie.
So what? Tell me about the smoothie. What should go in the smoothie?
So I start with my base of spinach. Spinach and kale are my favorite bases, and then you do a mixture of fruits. I have like peaches, mangoes. Peaches, mangoes. I love apple skins for the fiber. Peaches, mangoes are my favorite. What else comes in there? Papaya. You can get a mixture of fruits. They have antioxidant ones, which are all the berries and blueberries. You know. So yeah, you just research what's best for you, honestly. And I add sea moss gel to mine as well as
sea moss, the famous sea moss.
Yes, I love sea moss. It helped save my life basically.
All right. Sure. So tell us. Well, we're gonna come back to that, but tell us a little bit more. Like, so where are you now in the process of MS? And MS is a very degenerative disease.
Yes, my symptoms are like under control. Like I said, when I changed my lifestyle. When I first started, I lost, I think, about 80 pounds in the first about, I believe it was like 8 months. The weight just like melted off of me. I started following Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi, I followed him heavy. Are you guys familiar with Dr. Sebi? Yes, I follow his.
I mean, you could talk about it a little bit, but are you familiar with Dr. Sebi?
No, I'm not familiar with Dr. Sebi.
Yes. Oh man, he's a health guru. Like he was awesome in his craft. His legacy still lives on. So I follow his nutritional guide, and that's very strict. If the earth didn't make it, don't you take it, is his saying. Like if the earth didn't make it, don't you take it.
I like that.
You know, exactly. And if
don't take it.
Exactly. If it's seedless, leave it alone. You know, and I still ascribe to that. You know, make sure your fruits have seeds and everything. Even the word tells us God gave us every seed bearing plant for us to eat. You know, for health and healing to our bones. So following Sebi's plan really changed my life. That's where the weight literally melted off. I didn't even add in fitness. That's all basically new for me.
Got you. So you were telling us, so I was asking where you are now. So you lost the weight.
Yes.
How about these tingling? She said
I lost a total of 100 pounds.
All right. So which is pretty awesome. You're looking good. Looking excellent. So tell us, healing, move your head a little bit to the left, right?
My left.
I mean, the logo
to the background. Move to the right, put it to the left.
Healing from,
inside out.
Yes.
From
inside is Earth's natural side. The E and the N in ENsyde stands for Earth's natural side.
Okay.
So you have a special spelling. Is that the West African spelling of the word side?
Yeah, you know, the unique.
I got you.
So my little flair.
The woman over your left shoulder is whom?
That's me. Oh, that's me. Cooking with God. That's my YouTube channel where I'm gonna throw on some videos of, you know, my journey and things like that.
Okay. So interesting. So you basically talk to people about your eating habits, right? And how that would promote better living.
For sure. And detoxifying the body and putting the right things in there.
So when you talk about detoxifying the body, what do you mean by that?
Using herbs. Herbs. I sell tamarind ginger tea. Tamarind is a natural laxative. Yes, it's really
as in the little West Indian fruit that comes in a little seed thing like that.
Yes,
but leaf.
No, it's more. Yes, the pod. It's a pod, and you peel it. You know. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, I sell that. I use that as well. That's a great natural detox, and you know, herbs.
So tell us about the preparation. Just tell us about the preparation of the detoxes, so people need to know how to detox, what to do. You know, what are we doing? When you say detoxing, what does that mean? What does that look like?
Okay, so there's lots of ways you can detox. You could detox, you know, by just detoxing mean cutting out like fats, fried foods, sugary foods, the junks, candy, cakes, you know, processed foods. You just leave that stuff alone. Like if you want to live, my slogan is eat to live again. So we're eating to find new life. That's what I found with this diagnosis. I found new life for myself. So detoxifying the body is staying away from the junks, your fried foods, your processed food, eating more whole foods, you know, and using natural products to cleanse your system, which are my herbs, you know, that I use in my colon cleanse, which is unique blend of herbs. Some is Casa Sagrada, rhubarb root, wormwood, lots of different herbs.
I mean, basically, Kaja, it's like going back to the land.
Exactly.
From once we were made from dust.
Exactly.
And it's going back to the land, but we just get caught up with the whole, life is so fast and we don't have time to sit down and eat a proper meal, go to the supermarket.
And prepare a meal. Yes.
Prepare things like that.
Yeah.
So I think, it's more of understanding that, it's so true. You are what you eat.
Yes, you are.
What we consume are things that really put toxins in our body.
Yes.
And unless we detox and get those pollutants out of our body, at that point in time, it's going to trigger the bacteria and other things that can create these diseases, underlying conditions that exist. They exist in our bodies, but we trigger them by what we put into our bodies.
Exactly.
And it's something we talk about food deserts in minority communities, the lack of
gardens,
plant-based ingredients and foods. You go to a Whole Foods or organic. I mean, the prices are so expensive, but at the same time, we need to provide an opportunity for people in our communities to get those items, because now you see what happens now with communities that are gentrifying. I went into I went to a store right up here on Avenue D and Utica Avenue, and now usually they're selling sandwiches, but I saw a whole salad bar going on, because neighborhoods are changing and people are understanding the importance of your health, longevity. But most of all, people have it has come to the forefront.
Awakening.
It has been awakening with COVID.
Yes, wake up call.
It was a wake up call as to the underlying conditions that permeate through our communities and our societies that truly have an impact on people of color.
Yes, you hit the nail right on the head, and that's very important. I also like to teach people eating healthy does not have to be expensive. You can go to your local produce junction, your local farmer's market, and you can get produce and just straight from people's gardens. You can create I have a friend that created her own garden in the backyard. Like, they would like, my children and my husband like to create a garden here. I just don't like dirt and stuff, so they can do all that and I could just eat from it. But no, my mom also has a garden, at home and things like that. So that's very important. But it's not expensive to be healthy. You don't have to go to Whole Foods. Trader Joe's sells the same things, and it's not as expensive as Whole Foods.
I got you. What if our audience is just reaching out, letting you know that this is excellent, what you're talking about, and one person also said that you are what you eat. Tell us a little bit more about the physical side.
I was just about to ask her about that, because we have to talk about health and working out. You got to help me, sis.
Yes. So after I lost all the weight and everything like that, I was like, okay, I'm still like weak, and I know that's because the lack of the physical, the exercise part, right? So I knew I needed to get myself back in the gym, but also knew I wanted to be able to coach people along the way. So I went during the quarantine, I got my certification and became a certified health coach with the Institute for Integrative Nutrition online. And so I did that, and I got myself a gym membership, and I've been in the gym and I have a personal trainer now who's actually helping me to get my, to work with me specifically, knowing, the MS diagnosis is on my record, because I do not claim any sicknesses in my body, but he's working with me and been strengthening my body. And that's major. Exercise is major, for your mental, for your strength. So I think everyone, even, before that, sorry to jump all over, I started doing walks with my husband. We did family walks during the quarantine when we were on shutdown. Okay, we're going to take walks around the neighborhood. Walking, you can walk yourself well. You can walk yourself healthy. Get a pedometer, count your steps. You want to up your steps, challenge yourself. They even have walking YouTube videos. You can walk in your living room. You want to get some movement. You start small. You start at home. activity is very important. It's very important.
Now, you mentioned you're a health coach. Can you explain that a little bit more for those who don't know?
So health coach is someone that just like, it's like an advocate, someone who is like a best friend, someone that holds you an accountability partner, you know, that has the education and the resources and the tools, you know, to encourage you to, you know, stay in line with your goals and hold you accountable. We check in, you know, we have meetings, you know, just to make sure you stay accountable to your goals.
And so let's just go back. One of the things I tell people all the time, that when they're doing activity, like I have friends who say, "Oh, I walk a lot of work," and I keep reminding these people that that's not exercising. Right. It's good that you're walking at work, right? But it's not exercising. And I keep explaining to people that exercising means a sustained activity that changes your heart rate over a short period of time. People don't understand that. What does that mean, right? So, you know, and the other thing, and I'm going to make a general statement. What I find when I go to the gym is I don't find a lot of people of color in the gym, right?
It depends on what gym you go to.
No, it doesn't matter what gym.
My gym, I have plenty of people of color.
No, if the gym is in a completely black neighborhood, then obviously you're going to see more black people in the gym than whites. When you talk about that just goes without saying.
I think I disagree with that. It depends.
Doc, I totally disagree.
Yeah, because
I totally disagree.
Wait, hold on, because I go to the gyms.
Oh,
what gym you go to? Where you go?
All right. The other thing that I don't see is a lot of, well, you might see the younger generation of people of color, but you don't see people in their 40s and 50s.
Oh, I just agree with you with that. You're going to the wrong gym, baby.
I disagree. I'm with you.
So even like the Planet Fitness that's on Rockaway Boulevard, Rockaway Ave,
go
Brooklyn,
to Blink on Flatlands between 91st and 92nd, and you will see.
I go to hardcore, baby.
I don't say that.
You go to Brooklyn Sports Club.
No,
you see.
It's not there.
Are you kidding me? When the last time you been to Brooklyn Sports Club? When the last time you been there?
You guys are funny.
Okay, thank you.
So again, my observation at the gym,
which is poor observation.
I agree, because he's too busy watching people instead of working out. Get focused, Roderick.
No, I'm just saying. My producer's like he's right.
Yeah, producer wrong too.
Right?
Exactly.
Because
going the wrong places.
It's not the wrong places. I'm telling you, especially. I'm saying to you, you can say whatever you want, right? But I Joanne, let's put you on the spot. When was the last time you went to the gym?
I went to the gym on Saturday, actually. I was supposed to go today.
Is what?
No. Listen, I was supposed to go today, but I've been working with my daughter. So I'll be going tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday.
Keisha,
so
you work out, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's look at the stats when you go to the gym. Where do you go to the gym? Generally?
I go to LA Fitness in my neighborhood.
That's in East New York, right?
No.
I live in Philly.
You live in Philly?
Yes.
All right.
My gym is full of black people.
Yeah, because where you are is neighborhood. Look at the numbers, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Have you gone to a gym that's in a more middle class neighborhood?
The one my husband goes to is one of those neighborhoods.
What does the population look like?
There are a lot of African Americans there as well.
Kaja, tell him again. Tell him again.
Yes, I disagree.
Okay, that's fine. You're entitled to disagree.
And seniors as well. They have a whole swimming class that seniors love at my gym.
I do see that. So I can tell you right now, in my family, it's primarily women.
Mm-hmm.
They do walk. They do physical activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't go to the gym.
I understand where you're coming from. That's the same with my family.
So Joanne, Dr. Bryant, look at the members because always people always like, oh yeah, I see this. Look at the people in your family. Go back and see the people in your family and say, would you say a larger percentage of them go to the gym or not? Because that's how you start looking at numbers. Because you go back to the gym.
No. Here's the thing. You cannot use apples. That's not a good comparison.
Here's
the thing.
How are you using apples?
I'm going to break it down to you. A
Right.
large percentage of my family, like the older folks, I have family members who's in their 90s, their 80s, but guess what? They're very active and they go back and forth back to their country. They're
Mhm.
walking.
That's not
They're walking.
that's not going to the
that
gym.
is
That's just living
active. No. That's active. They're very
We're gonna
active.
agree to disagree on this one.
So yes, we will disagree. My dad goes to the gym here and there, you know. So, but
Again,
here-
my question to you
he
wasn't
is-
whether or not everybody might step foot in the gym. That's not the question I asked you.
Mhm.
The question is, because they go back and forth to Haiti or back and forth to Jamaica, they go back and forth to Guyana, West Africa, doesn't mean that
It doesn't have to be in a gym for them to work out.
Again, the question
True.
that
You
I
can
asked,
work out from home.
Yeah. So
hold on.
that's
Wait, that's not the question that I asked you.
mhm.
I asked you, and I have to go back to Kaja, right?
Mhm.
Because it's about her. The question that I asked you was, when you look at your family members,
Mhm.
how many of them are active?
Okay.
In terms of
Not many.
Roger, let
You switch your question.
Right.
You
Slow
just
down.
switch your question
Slow
because I mentioned to you that even though they do not go to the gym, especially elderly folks, if they're 80s and 90s, they're not going to the gym, but they're very active. They're walking, they're carrying things, they're doing things, they're exercising. So you need to,
over that.
huh?
That's not exercising. That's just being active. That's not exercise.
Which
That's
is great, which is still great for the
It's
body.
good that they're doing something that been a couch potato, but it's not. Again, exercising is.
So here it
Wait,
is.
hold on.
Mhm.
Exercising is doing a physical activity
For a
that
sustained
changes
period
the
of
heart
time.
rate
Yes.
over a short period of time.
So
That means
climbing hills is not exercising.
exercise.
Okay, so that's part of it.
I-
In the Caribbean island, there's plenty of hills for you to
But
climb.
that doesn't mean that.
So
Oh, all right, never mind.
in
You know what?
addition to that,
No, forget it. Let's go back to Khadijah. Let's go back-
swimming
No,
is
wait.
another component.
Roger, hold on,
Huh?
hold on, Roger. Let the doctor answer. Let the doctor finish her answer.
I was gonna say I don't want to take Khadijah's time. That's why I was. But go ahead, Doc.
Khadijah, we go back and forth like this because the thing is, I can agree to disagree with him because
Mhm.
you can't just make assumptions. Yes, I understand the gyms you go to. I went to plenty of gyms and I lived in areas that was predominantly mixed, and we had a good amount of African American in there,
Yes.
of Black folks in there. So please do not say, "Oh, you don't see them." I do see them,
Okay.
and thank
For
you.
sure. Silver
And I did
Sneakers
say-
is an
I did
awesome
say it was-
program.
I did say it was a generalization. Yes.
Dancing too. Mhm.
So
Don't forget.
here, to your point, Joanne, Barbara wrote this. People need to know that HMOs will support, like your health insurance to support
Yes.
freedom membership, right? So people need to utilize that. I know that some people like because
Thank you so much.
if you stay healthy, you don't have to go to the doctors often,
Exactly.
and
Great
so
point.
that's one lesson that people need to understand. If I stay healthy, I don't have to go to the doctor as much and pay all this money, right?
Exactly.
So that's important.
You know what?
Oh, Doc, you were
I
saying.
want to ask a question in regards to staying healthy and everything and exercising, and how does that affect you overall? How do you feel? You know, how does that affect the MS in regards to that before and after you started exercising? So only the eating, but also the exercising. How was it before and after? Can you give us an example?
Yes. So when I first began, I could say it was more challenging in the beginning because my body had to learn to adjust to this new normal. You understand what I'm saying? My body was used to not being in that state as he spoke of, with the elevated heart rate, which you are really doing effective work, you know. So my body tried to respond like, oh, what's this? You know, what's going on? So for me, it's more of a mental thing. And I have to remind myself in the beginning, like, okay, this isn't going to control me. I'm going to control it. So I'm going to get a handle on my activity, my exercising. And that provides me thus more energy. I'm stronger. My family and friends have noticed my gait because it also had like unsteady gait, balance issues, that is becoming better. My walking, my steps can go further. You know what I mean? I can go further now, more distance. I used to use a cane and everything. Not too long ago, and I was like, all right, it's going to be a pink cane. I had me a fly pink cane because I needed a cane to walk some years ago. I'm so serious. I was like, okay. And I even wanted a knife to be able to shoot up from the bottom, but thank God I never had to get to that point. Down here, you're not gonna try to take me, some mason.
You've been watching Get Smart too much.
Listen, seriously. But thank God I didn't have to. None of that had to happen. So God is good. So but for real, I've seen an improvement in my energy level, my stamina, my gait, even cognitively. There's so many health benefits to as you guys were speaking of, just exercising and being active.
Kaja, do you contribute a lot of that to not only what you eat, but to your mindset, your mental, your mental stability, your ability to push your body based upon your mindset.
Yes.
Understanding that this is what I'm going to conquer.
Yes.
Because I was reading a book by David Goggin. He says, "You can't hurt me." Meaning he was a Navy SEAL who became an ultra marathoner, meaning that he runs 100-mile marathons. And when he started out, he was pre-diabetic. He weighed close to 300 pounds.
Wow.
And he wanted to become a Navy SEAL.
Wow.
And he always said that sometimes when your body fails you, you can kick it. Your mind can push you to places where you never thought your body could go.
Oh my God, I can so relate to that book. That is definitely, I'll tell everyone, first, it's a mental battle first. People always say, oh, can you please talk to my daughter? Oh, she has this ailment. She needs to get herself together. I said, okay, where's she at mentally? It's a mental battle first. You have to conquer the mind. You can conquer the mind. You can conquer anything. You change your mind. The word even tells us we have to be renewed in our minds first. So that's what I ascribe to. Everything starts in the mind. I saw myself well. I saw myself healed. I saw myself fit. I saw myself off of these medications. Like they told me this would be my portion for the rest of my life. And I said, I don't receive that. I don't accept that. I just refuse. I refuse to accept that. If you allow that to get into your mental, this is how people are, every day are battling or going through because they accept this. You have to, as you spoke on, you have to decide in your mind, I'm going to overcome this. I am an overcomer. I am an MS advocate. I'm an advocate for all things health and wellness. So that is very important. You have to conquer yourself first. And I knew I wanted to be around for my kids. I knew I wanted to be around, I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I'm too fly. I need to be a mental battle.
A lot of people, Kaja, they tend to, when you get a diagnosis of such magnitude, a lot of people, you're first, you're depressed, but then, let me get it together and let me move forward. Yeah. Because like anything else, there's obstacles that go up and down. And can you just explain to our listeners, how you were able to deal with some of those peaks and valleys along your journey?
Hills and valleys is what I call them, the hills and valleys, because that is very real. It's very important to allow yourself to feel. Our apostles used to say all the time, you cannot heal what you do not allow yourself to feel. You cannot heal what you don't feel. And that not even just in reference to someone else, but yourself. Like, how can I begin a healing process if I'm not even allowing myself to experience my emotions and be present with and acknowledge it and be present with my emotions? I definitely went through those battles. I definitely had my hills and my valleys, my highs and my low moments. I did a lot of journaling. I did a lot of writing. And that's where I also found a lot of freedom. So that is very real. It's very real. What did you ask me exactly? Can I speak to it? Like,
yeah, your peaks and valleys. How did you overcome those peaks and valleys to
prayer.
Get where you're at this point in time?
A lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, a lot of writing, journaling. You have to get it out. I don't know who you ascribe to or believe in, but Jesus is the healer in my eyes. So I'm crying out to Jesus. I'm trying out, you go through the motions, you allow yourself to feel, and you get yourself together. And yes, there are hills and valleys. And that's like I say, you allow yourself to feel, and you create a plan, you execute it, but there also has to be a desire. You really have to. You have to get to the place where you want this. You understand what I'm saying? Like you really have to want it.
And I guess, your husband and your children are very instrumental in helping you along that journey. And it's always good to, when you have that partner, to be beside you.
Yeah, for sure.
And support you. That's why it's so important that we understand that through any situation or through any obstacles that we go through, I always remember two things, because the obstacles and the situations that I've went through is, two important things: faith and family.
Yes.
How they are the key to bolster you when times gets rough.
Yes, for sure.
I look at you and I can see that you're the epitome of those two characteristics, those 2 points.
Yes.
That you have and your family.
For sure. I'll definitely add in friends as well.
Loyal friends.
No, for sure. Oh, trust me, I only have a handful, seriously, that really understand. They were with me in the trenches. They were on the ground crying out with me to the Lord. You understand? Like, as well as my leaders, praying for me, praying with me, walking me through this, Yeah, so your support system is very key. And if you don't have it, guess what? There are hundreds of groups, support groups, because not everyone has support. Not everyone has that friends and family or church members and things like that. But there are lots of support groups out there as well.
That is true.
You touched on it. So tell us a little. Let's go back to the healthy eating, right? Mm-hmm. You talk about you do your juicing. Can you give us some examples of what you juice for specific, or you might have an idea now that you're a health coach to help people along who want to know, not just because everybody knows eat fiber, everybody knows have fruits, right? But sometimes it's what am I doing it for? And how does it help me to sustain a healthy lifestyle? So you're talking about juicing, but why should I juice?
I prefer smoothies over juicing.
Whatever, whichever knowledge you want to use, but people and you hear someone say, I can't survive in a smoothie. So
yes, you can. You can add some oatmeal, add some sea moss, get your 92 minerals in there, and you're giving your body the fuel that it needs. Once again, education is the number one. That's also where I come in, trying to empower the community, empower them, educate them. You have to help them shift their mindset on food, because a lot of times we eat for taste. We're not eating to sustain. We're eating for taste. We eat with our eyes first, honestly. But you can add oats to make it more filling. Your sea moss gels help it be more filling and sustaining. But I prefer smoothies because the juicing, it gets rid of the fiber. That's a lot of wasted pulp. You can thus make a soup with it. I've known people that make soups with their fiber, but why do all that? Just get a blender, a nice blender, get all your fiber in there, which is great to move your bowels, and you get all your nutrients all at once. But I would definitely just recommend, what I say is do an 80-20. You want to have 80% more vegetables or like plant-based items than you have like your starches and your meats, because not everyone's a vegan or flexitarian. I'm sorry, I say I'm a flexitarian, a vegan or a vegetarian.
What's that flexitarian? What's that?
Yeah. Explain that.
So it's like you flex. Like I eat chicken and fish. In our house, we eat chicken and fish, and it's just wild caught fish only. Antibiotic, steroid-free chicken. Like ever since I started on my whole health journey, my husband was mad, like, oh my God, because now he's looking at reading the back of packages like, oh my gosh, when you start learning these things, you look at that nutritional facts, it changes. Once again, education. You see what's in there.
There's a dish I like, stew peas.
Mm-hmm.
I love stew peas.
Joanne promised him some.
Yeah, that's like a Caribbean dish.
Me some. Okay, remember that.
That's a Caribbean dish.
Yes.
It sounds like something my Jamaican godmom makes.
Yes, that's exactly.
Yes. So yeah, you just want to make sure if you're going to eat it, I always say, just make sure it's, try to your best, get free range, vegetarian fed diet meats, eat clean. Just eat clean, because unfortunately these animals have cancers and tumors and stuff like that, and they're just cutting them up and shoving them right into the stores, into our communities, and thus what's in them is getting into us, and thus we have little babies, young girls getting their menstrual early, all these issues that is stemming from, as you spoke on earlier, John, what we're putting in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So just try to eat clean.
I love that.
Talk about the balance between physical exercise and health. Why does an individual need to have that balance in order to help? I might not get to where you are, but at least start moving the process towards that success is not just spoken, it is done. What are you doing to be successful, right? That part of the village's motto, like success is not just spoken, it is done. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about that healthy balance, why should people listen to what you're saying?
Well, I always say I'm a walking testament of what I speak and of my products. I'm a walking miracle, honestly. I should have been in a wheelchair, according to my doctors. I shouldn't be here. Some say, consistent with the lesions that are on my brain and my spine. But once again, we can change our lives by what we do, what we put in our bodies. And I think the physical part is very important. Even for me, as I said, with the weakness, I now have more strength. I now have more energy. Yeah. I now can do more. You understand? So that's very important. It's very important to have a healthy balance between the two. And even losing all the weight, and not mind, I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I've come a long way. So I'm definitely not, no one goal. I'm not going to say that, but you know what I mean? Like we're all striving, to get to a certain place, and I'm still striving. I still have goals and things that I want to achieve in terms of my own, body and things like that. But I've come a long way. I wish I should have had some pictures to show you all. But if you go on my Instagram, you'll see some pictures of me, some old pictures. And I've come a nice way.
So Kaja, the whole family has adopted this healthy lifestyle.
They didn't have a choice.
They didn't have a choice. Yeah. They're on the journey with you.
You're right. Oh my gosh.
They're definitely on a journey with me.
What about the ex-wife? She's on the journey too?
Oh, there's no ex-wife, ex-girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend. She's on the journey too?
Listen, she's not a factor. She's not a factor, Roger. Okay? No one's a factor.
Why?
Can y'all see this?
Yeah, put it a little bit more. Put it a little more. Yeah, right there. Let me blow it up a little.
Oh yeah.
Guys, okay. So
go, girl.
I wasn't even at my biggest. Oh, I'm sorry.
You go.
So, thank you. I do have a question though, because this always bothers me. Oh, that's the picture. That's the picture in the background. So let me ask you a question. Let's go back. Kaja, I have a question. Every time I see these diet pictures and these changing weight, right? The hairstyles are different. What's going on?
Listen, I changed my hair so much, but us African American women, we could do that.
That's
we
right.
Okay.
But it's
when a woman change her hair, she's about to change her life. My whole life changed.
So go back and look at I was like this. We have this one with the pill, right? I said if you change the pill overnight, you take it overnight, you lose. I don't know if it's true or false. I'm not saying that. But when they look at the before and after picture, it's always the woman has her hair up in a bun. And then when she gets out and she loses all this weight, the hair is down, the makeup is on, and she's hot and bothered, right?
She's feeling herself.
But before she like a scrub, what's going on?
Listen, you feeling yourself. You find a new confidence. You see, my hair was orange. Like I really was feeling myself. I was like, you know what? I'm cutting my hair. I'm doing this new. I had a whole haircut, and my hair grows like crazy. Like so, I had orange hair, red hair. Listen. I'm feeling myself. The skin is glowing. Like, I mean, that's just what it's this new life.
That's Kaja. That's new. It's the new life, the new mindset that all helps you deal with the struggles that you may face. Saying, I know I can do it. I'm gonna keep pushing, keep moving, keep pushing. Don't have to worry about no X thing. I'm the original. I am the original. Ain't got to worry about anything else. It might have been before, but there's no after. You know why I brought that conversation up though, Kaja, very importantly, and John touched on it a little bit, and we talked about it earlier. But the mental mind, the mindset.
That's the biggest one. You tackle that mind, you could tackle anything.
Yeah, and then it changes how you feel about yourself because you're a significant accomplishment. So it's kind of like if I can do this, then I can do this. Like it builds a certain level of personal inner growth.
Exactly.
Right? In people. So
Exactly. That's major. I've influenced my mother, my sister, like the family is now coming into a line. They see the change. It's like, oh, okay, you know what? I need to do something about this.
Yeah.
So
I have to add that I love this conversation we're having, because not only are you a role model for your children, but you're a role model for those that you come across.
Yes.
Because even though you're fighting this, you're not claiming it. You're changing mindset. You're educating people, and you're saying, hey, you know what? It's not going to beat me. I'm beating it. And in the process, I'm educating myself and others on, if you come across any challenges, that's what you need to do. You will hills and all of that, mountains and hills, but still keep going. True. And you know what? We embrace that. We really embrace that. And knowing that, you know what? You need family, like John says, family, faith, and friends.
And Kaja, you know what else you need?
What?
They all know.
Don't you dare. Don't pay him no mind. Don't pay him
herbs. The herbs.
You talking about me? Okay.
I was wondering.
We need the herbs.
Say that again, Roger.
Tell them we need the herbs.
Yes, we need my herbs.
Herbs.
Marijuana.
Marijuana is a natural herb too.
My herbs.
That's your herb. I got you. Oh, John, you heard that? Her herbs.
Yes.
Marijuana. See, she's like,
no. My herbal detox. That's what you need.
Don't pay no mind to them.
My herbal detox.
So, again, move a little bit again to your yes. So you have sorrel, sea moss, elderberry. What's the elderberry elixir? Is that what?
Yeah, the elderberry elixir. Elderberry elixir. Man, it's great for viruses, infections. It's just something we take like every day in my household. It builds up your immune system as well. Yeah, it prevents a lot of things. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments. Cholesterol is great for digestive health. I have people taking it no longer on their allergy medications. So yeah, I get testimonials like all the time. It's helping someone with something different. Elderberry
elixir. Mm-hmm. I need to.
Elderberry elixir.
Oh my. For allergies, you said, right?
Yes, digestive health is for everything. Infections. I had people getting the sea moss and the elderberry during their times. Family members and
we can get that from you.
COVID.
You can provide us with those things, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So make sure we get your information, because I definitely would like to
for sure
partake. And I'll buy one for the doctor too.
Okay.
But make sure with the doctor you put a little edibles. No, Doc? Some edibles? Lighten up a little?
No edibles. Thank you. I pass.
Can we put hold on. Can we put a little Jamaican rum in there at least?
But remember, Kaja said plant-based.
Yes.
Remember, Doc, plant-based.
Not your marijuana plant.
But the marijuana plant, the cannabis is good for pain.
I know. There's a lot of people that use it. Honestly, they offer me a medicinal card. I just decline. I'm okay. I've been there, done that in my younger days, and I don't want to go back.
Hey, you're still young to me.
Thank you. I feel young.
Amen. Amen.
Right.
I'll be 36 on Sunday, so this is my birthday weekend.
Oh, really?
Hold on. What is that?
Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini.
Oh, yes. Gemini in the house. That's how we do it. Gemini, baby. You got it, dog. That's how we do it. 17th, baby.
Hey.
17th. Yo. Hey, ho.
You're all a bunch of losers. You're all a bunch of losers. You need to be Aquarius.
Roger, what's your sign? What's your sign, Roger?
I said,
he's a hater sign.
I'm not. Gemini and Cancers are the hater signs. I am Aquarius. That's a great sign.
It is. My mother was an Aquarius.
Yes,
yeah,
Aquarius.
Yeah. I give you a little token credit.
All right.
So, Gemini and Cancers are like
No, we're not haters. We're lovers.
I
We're
believe
lovers.
so.
Yeah. No. Okay, wait, hold on. I'm gonna prove it right now. Legalize the herb.
I agree with you on that. They do need
No,
to.
I just want to hear the hater. Go ahead.
Oh.
See, look, she can't even comment.
I got your back.
You know what?
I take it for you.
I actually had a massage with CBC, whatever that is, and I
CBD.
broke out in hives,
Oh,
big
Jesus
time.
Christ.
So I'm serious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
no,
that was psychosomatic.
I don't like the CBD either. I
Yeah.
tried something, a gummy or something, and it just hit my body. I felt like I was like, oh no, this is
Listen, I tried the gummies too.
I don't like it.
The edibles. I did. Because I was in some serious pain, and my boys.
Yes,
really need to
that's
try
what I
it,
tried it for.
right? And so I tried it, but it left an aftertaste. I was like, I'm not doing this no more. So I didn't have it anymore.
You know what I try?
The herb.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have a couple more minutes to talk to you a little bit, and this is like some great stuff that you're talking about health. A lot of people see you was diagnosed with MS. I was diagnosed with another illness, and I went to start eating good foods. Right, I can't really do the sustained exercise anymore because I don't have the ability to do that anymore.
Okay.
But I do try to throw the baseball with my son. But that's some activity, but not a lot.
Right. Well, it counts.
I understand that. So going back, the reason why I'm asking all these questions is for people to understand that there are a lot of illnesses out there that you, like John said, you go back to the earth. Dr. Sabi says go back to the earth. And that's why you're so important that people get to know, yes, MS might eventually come and take what it needs to take from you, right? Or my illness might eventually take me out. But in the meantime, we have all, thanks be to God, added more to our lives, right?
Exactly.
What it is that we can do. So people need to understand that eating right, and proper exercise.
Exactly.
Losing weight is important. You don't have to keep the weight because having the weight causes problems, causes additional health issues. But again, you don't want to be, what do they call it? When you get too skinny, anorexic, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's not the level you want to get to.
Right.
But you also want to know to eat. Go to your Trader Joe's or have your little garden in the back.
Yep. Your local farmer's market, produce junction.
Get out and walk around the block.
Yes.
You need to do. Get out, walk around the block, do 3 or 4, as many as you can around the block, come back.
Yes.
Smoothie.
Yep. Or have your nice salad, a nice grilled chicken. I make it real quick. Mango chicken salad, grilled chicken. Throw it on some spinach, some romaine lettuce. Cut up a mango. Boom. Add some rice vinegar or some balsamic vinaigrette. I mean, real quick, easy meals.
Kaja, you are, you're a godsend because I hope people are listening. What you went through, you were able to not only maintain, but far exceed the expectation that maybe others had for you. So you just keep on doing what you're doing, and we thank you for all the wisdom and the knowledge, but most of all the determination that you exude and provided for our listeners tonight. So I look forward to speaking to you in the future and continue on your journey, that positive journey. Yes. And I want to read that book when it comes out.
Yeah. I know. Working on it.
Before I forget, Kaja, a colleague, a principal who's a principal of a school, immediately asked for your contact for you to speak to his staff. As a matter of fact, he asked for the judges today. So he will reach out to you. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
How do we get in touch with you? I'm sorry.
That's exactly what I was going to ask her.
I was trying to find somewhere I could type. I can type it to you, and I guess you can share
Andre, you could just say it, and Andre will
type. Okay. So it's okay. So my socials are at ENsyde Out, which is, I believe, under my name is ENsydeout LLC, just like it is under next to my name there. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. And my website is www.ENsydeoutllc.com. Spelled the same way. ENsydeoutllc.com.
And when somebody goes to that website, what are they seeing?
They're seeing my products. They're seeing my bio, my story, how to contact me. I have ebooks, like plant-based ebooks, things like that.
Gotcha. All right. So we got to take a look at it, and let's, get.
But I ask that you definitely follow my socials, follow my journey, and let's talk. I love to engage with my, my supporters.
All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you for joining us right here in the Village. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Village talk show on 92.1 GD Radio, on Facebook at Roderick F. Daly, at Tawana St. Paul, at Joanne Bryant. And, we're all about empowering the community. We're dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any point, at any age, starting from today. Our next guest, who's coming up right now, is Keisha Alleyne. She's joining us out here, hanging out, chilling. She's Keisha Alleyne Esquire. JD. I don't understand. I asked this question of a lawyer friend of mine. I asked lawyer, like my sister was a lawyer, so I asked her the same thing. And then I'm going to ask a couple of guests who are lawyers. And I said, why is it that you guys don't put Dr. Keisha Alleyne? Because, you do have a doctorate in jurisprudence.
That's a good question. You have stumped me. It's just what they have done for millions of years. But I am a doctor, right? No.
Yeah, I do know that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I really don't know the math or the science behind it as to why, but that's just traditionally what has been done. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, because
what did they say? How about
I don't know, because I guess it's kind of like the same answer.
Right.
Because you're known as an attorney.
Yes. Right. That's the difference between, so if we put JD behind our name, usually people who have put JD behind their name are people who have not necessarily passed the bar as yet, who are candidates that are about to bar. So if you see someone that says, Keisha Aline JD, that means that they've attained their Juris Doctorate degree, but they did not take the bar as yet.
And Keisha, the reason they put the Esquire there is because you have passed the bar and you have become an attorney. That's why they put Esquire there.
That's right.
I was actually going to ask that.
I want to clear that up for my brother there.
All right.
Yeah, but he was asking about why we don't put doctor at the front of our names.
And I think it's also has to do with teaching. It also has to do with teaching too. I think if you generally teaching your JD as opposed to a practicing attorney. I think that's also part of it. So thank you. Welcome to the Village.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
My brother Roderick is like, yo, what's going on? Reached out, reach out. And so I have to listen to my brother Roderick and make sure that all Rodericks get through,
Yes, indeed. And I thank you all.
No problem. Give us not what you're doing, but give us a little bit about your background up to the point where you are. So tell us, but we already know we're going to talk about that. But
who is Keisha Alleyne?
Who's Keisha Alleyne?
So I'm going to tell you that Keisha Alleyne is a graduate of Bryant University in Smithfield, Rhode Island, with a business administration degree in accounting. I then went off to law school, and I went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law in Houston, Texas, following the footsteps of my aunt, who is a judge in Houston, Texas, the first African-American family court judge in Houston, Texas. Following her footsteps, I went on out to Houston, Texas, and attained my Juris Doctorate degree. While there, I decided when in law school, you're trying to figure out exactly what it is that you want to do or what area of law you would like to practice in. And I still continued my zeal for corporate law. So while I was there, I was practicing in the tax courts and doing some tax work. Then I came home to New York, and for the last 18 years, I've been practicing as a civil litigator in both New York Civil and Supreme Court, handling cases like consumer debt, defense, litigation, personal injuries, things along those lines. I've worked as a staff counsel for a Fortune 500 company for many, many years, and which had me actually in the court system, actually doing and trying cases. So I wasn't just a paper pusher sitting behind that bet. I was actually in court and litigating. And I'm also a small business owner and a community servant. And I think those are the things that truly excite me. I own a company by the name of Elite Vision Enterprise, where I go into schools and I do mentoring for youth. I do leadership and development programming with a heavy focus on civic engagement, advocacy, public speaking, mock trials, things along those lines, all the things that we have removed from the school systems to try to help to infiltrate and put our students, give them back their ability to have a voice.
So Keisha, I just want to, let me just jump in.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a candidate for the civil court in the 7th Municipal District. Where's
Correct.
the 7th Municipal District at?
So 7th Municipal District is East New York, Cypress Hills, Bushwick, and a small portion of Brownsville.
So we're talking about, and we talking about my neck of the woods, East
That's
New York,
right.
Brownsville.
I'm a Brownsville girl.
We're in Brownsville. We're in Brownsville.
So I won't give my exact address, but it's near the Saratoga train station. How about that?
All right.
That's right. I grew up on Stroud Street.
All right. Okay, yes. So it's
Thomas
right
Boylan.
there.
Hopkinton
Okay.
Avenue. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when they changed it to Thomas
Yeah,
Boylan. Yeah,
Thomas
back in the 80s. Yeah.
If I'm going home, I'm going on the 3 train to Saratoga Avenue.
Gotcha.
Hey,
Me too. That's my stop.
Me
That's my
too.
stop.
All right. Saratoga Avenue.
You know,
Sutter baby. I was a Sutter baby.
Right before.
Rutland Road.
You're right
neighborhood.
before.
That's the neighborhood. We had a couple of, I remember there was one,
actually a couple weeks ago.
Kathy King. Kathy King is,
Yes.
she was a Kathy King.
Ran in
She's
this
a
district.
Supreme Court judge. She ran in there.
That's
I
good.
remember a lot of them, and I'm glad, my biggest thing about judges
Mhm.
is that they come to the community to ask for their support.
Mhm.
But once they get on the bench, they tend to forget about those people who they supported.
Yeah.
And you can look into the decisions that they make. They fail to forget the experiences that they gathered along the way, or they themselves experienced when they're looking at the litigants before them.
Mhm.
We're not asking you to be favorable as one opposed to the other. We just want judges to be impartial. We want them to call it as they see it. But when there's an opportunity to use your background or your history to look at a litigant, those are components, I think, that make a judge successful.
I agree.
So as a candidate who's running for judge, what makes you different from your opponents?
So I think one of the biggest things is the district that I am representing is the district that I'm from. Okay, born and raised in Brownsville.
That's a plus.
Right. So that off the cuff makes me different, right? Not only that, I think one of the biggest things is I totally agree with you regarding judges getting to the bench and forgetting where they're, who put them there and things along those lines, right? But the bottom line is for me is I keep telling folks that I'm not necessarily a politician. This is my first run. But however, before that, what I am and what I am continuously is a community servant. I've been serving these communities for 1 million years. So when you sit down and you look at what I'm actually capable of doing, I think a large portion of that, you have to look at what I'm actually doing, right? So I am a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I have been working and doing community service in the borough of Brooklyn for 1 million years at this time, since then, serving families. And this is way before, the thought process of even becoming a judge, okay? Like I said, I started my own company where I'm mentoring youth because I firmly believe that if we want to have a society that has responsible adults in it, we have to start with our youth.
Yes.
That is my passion work. That's the work that I've been doing. I take kids to the courthouse. I take them down so that they could see that the court is not necessarily a negative place. So I teach them, the importance of civic engagement. So for me, I guess to answer your question is that what makes me different is I am a community servant first. And so when I get to that bench, that's ingrained in me. That's what I've been doing. So the ability to necessarily forget that, that's not one of the things you have to leave behind. You know what I'm saying? You have to leave the politics behind when you get to the bench, but you don't have to leave the service behind. You can still serve your communities. And because that's ingrained in me, that's a part of who I am. That's what I'm going to be. So when I sit to the bench, I don't have a choice other than to know the people of Brownsville, the people of East New York, because that's who I am. It's a part of who I am. And I think that that's most important, is to be able to look at what that individual has done prior to getting there. And I think that that's sometimes, that is a good reflection of how they will be once they get there.
So when you, during this period of COVID, you know, how were you able to get that message out? You know, this is Keisha, who I am. I'm a product of the district that I want to represent. I'm a product of it. You know,
you mean
how
for
are you able to, you know, how are we able to really to meet the people to get that message out?
Listen, even though it's COVID, I have been knocking a million doors. Okay, we have been at the door fronts knocking consistently for over a month and a half. We started our campaign in February. We started door knocking in March, and we have been out there knocking doors. And surprisingly enough, people have been opening those doors and meeting and greeting and willing to talk. We've been going to churches, whatever churches it is that have been open. We've been going to those churches. I've been going to 2 and 3 churches every Sunday, even if there's, 20 people in the audience, or 30, 100 people in the audience. We've been going, we've been doing Facebook Live. Not only that, I have a series called Taste of Brooklyn, where I've been going around to different restaurants and communities that have been hit hard by the pandemic. And I've been doing a series on those in the restaurants and corporations in the district. I've been doing a series on them to kind of encourage people to go out. So it's a great way to actually showcase some of the actual community people that are doing, that are still open and still have
What
their doors.
restaurants you recommend? What restaurants in the neighborhood?
So the ones I've done, Fusionese. Thus
See, my
far.
man, my good friend Andrew Walcott.
Yes,
He's a good brother, good brother.
Indeed. He's excellent.
He's an attorney. He's an attorney and an accountant.
Yes, he's an attorney. He's an accountant. He's an everything. Okay?
Yeah, entrepreneur.
MBA.
Yeah.
He spent too much time in school.
Andre is what they would call the triple threat.
Yes.
He's some of everything. So I would highly recommend Fusionese. Fusionese is a great restaurant. I love the fact that it's in the community. I love the fact that it even though it's in the community, it does not, it is still above, it is still that high quality.
And which Fusionese?
It's in the East, brother. East New York.
East New York. I can't remember the street name. It's over by Gateway, somewhat over that way.
Okay, in the back.
Yeah, it's in the back area over there. It's over by Gateway area, and it's Fusionese. So I highly suggest.
I have a question for you. You're running for civil court, right?
Correct.
Civil court judge. What does that? I want to go back and say, before I get to my question, just talk about. I like John's point, but I'm grateful to see that you the mentorship program that you're doing for young people, for them to take them to court, to understand the court, and even if they're interested in becoming an aspire attorney or JD, what that looks like. Speaking of which, somebody did reach out to me, a principal friend did reach out and ask for you to, if I can refer you to him, because he wants to have you speak to his staff. So you might get a call from, he'll say a principal, and he will say my name. I don't want to call his name on the air. All right, but going back to a civil court.
Yes. What
is a civil court judge? What is your role? And let's start with that. What is civil court? What is your role?
So civil court handles, a lot of times our communities are not familiar with any other type of court other than criminal court, really. Or, at least we know of, not necessarily that you've been to, but that's the first court that we think of. But civil court is that court that deals with most things that are, that we may come in contact with regularly. So that would be your landlord-tenant issues, any landlord-tenant cases that you might have. It is your consumer debt. It is your small claims cases. It is your personal injury cases. Those are the things that the civil court actually handles. And that encompasses quite, a lot of us. A lot of us are either a landlord or tenant. Consumer debt in our communities is a real thing. I was just telling somebody the other day, I remember being on campus way back when, and the first thing they did was when you got to campus, they were like, hey, sign up for a credit card. And you can get a free t-shirt and the this and the that and the next. And everybody signed up for a credit card, writing up the bills. And, you're in this debt before you even, turn around and So consumer debt is a real issue for us. Small claims, contract issues. If you're a small business owner and you have issues, that deal with your actual business, those are the things that we handle in civil court. So in the age of the entrepreneur and people trying to, acquire properties and things along those lines, that's kind of what we deal with.
So they would think of you more like a Judge Judy. If you need to dispute, you would be our Judge Judy.
Yes.
So I want to piggyback off of what Roderick says, because you are from Brownsville. I don't know if it's my, okay, maybe it was my mic.
Is this?
Okay, sorry about that. So since you are from Brownsville, East New York area, are the schools that you work with, the middle schools and overall, are they all in Brownsville and East New York, or just all over the city?
So we do have some schools in Brownsville and East New York, and we are all over the city. Our goal is to get to, our model is built to get to communities of color that are, where our goal is to bridge this educational gap. So the focus is communities of color. So we're in the Bronx, we're in Queens, we're in Brooklyn, we're in, a number of different, we're just not in Staten Island as yet. We're actually even in Long Island. But we actually serve all the communities as best as we can, because like I said, the primary goal is to bridge this educational gap.
Now, to add on to that, thank you. So you said you allow the kids to have mock trials in regards to that. So I remember in the 90s that they used to have that, like you said, the 90s NYU used to offer mock trials to students to come in and do all of that. But that was since removed, and it's just a limited amount of schools that offer that right now. So is that something that the kids sign up for in the school or outside the school, or a Saturday program? How would they go about? And
so what happens is, usually I'm partnering with the principals. I sit down with the principals and I talk to them about what they would like to see in their school as an additional programming. And so we are some schools we are actually in the school day. Some schools we are an after school program, and some schools have, some districts even have hired us to come in on the weekends and do programming. So it's really at the request of what the principals want as to how they want to structure their program. So we'll have schools, like I said, the major portion of this is to encourage our students to be advocates for themselves, to teach them to be able to have a voice again. So that's really what, me as an attorney, that's really what it, being a litigator, we're always speaking, we're always advocating on our own behalf. And I realized that when mentoring youth, they struggle with that. So it was something that I said, listen, I really want to be able to try to empower some youth to be able to do the things it is that I can do well. So that's kind of what it is. It's really a partnership between the principals or the districts or the community leaders to be able to bring the programming into the schools. And we sit down and there's no boilerplate, like this is what we do. We kind of tailor it to each school's needs and what they want. So if you don't want, so we had a district that said that they wanted an oratorical speech competition. So all the schools in that respective district, we got together and taught their students, the art of oratorical speaking. And, so that's kind of how we work it.
I have to say, it's nice to know the person, just to get to know you. Besides, yes, you're running for a judge, but you're kind of cool. People you have an Instagram, you're working with the young people, you're part of sorority. So, and you're in the community, you never turn your back on the community. That's powerful.
Yes.
So
yes.
thank you.
Thank you. 18 years of service, as an attorney, but I feel like, it was given to me my ability. I went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law, and our motto at Thurgood Marshall was protect it, improve it, and pass it along. And so I really took that to heart, because that's something that, that's what we had to, that's what we learned as we were learning to become a lawyer, that was ingrained in us. So I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Roderick, you're muted. I think their mic kind.
I am muted. Somewhere Andre muted me. Andre muted me, our producer. But one of the things the disparity, I noticed a lot, and my wife always talks about this. We went to court. She went, but I see it because I've gone to court a few times. The disparity in judgment between people of color, and again, it might be a generalization. Maybe it was just that day, but the disparity in judgment on people of color versus European Americans versus African Americans or Black and brown boys and girls, right? And they talk about this all the time, getting sentenced for a crime, same crime, but different sentences. Now, I know you don't deal with criminal, you deal with civil, right? But along the same aspect, how do you see your mentorship, your involvement in the community? How do you think that plays a role in your judgment, especially when you think about the disparity among people of color, Black and brown?
Well, it's very important that is definitely a reality for us as a community. That's just what we know it to be that way. One of the things, I think maybe about 2.5 weeks ago, the Gothamist wrote an article, and the article said, the title of the article was 70% of the bench in New York State, or in New York City, is white, okay? So 70% in a city that is supposed to be the melting pot where we have a plethora of cultures and things along those lines, but the bench looks the same. In order to be able to get diversity in thought, in diversity, you have to diversify the bench. It's really important. So once you start to put people on the bench that are from these communities, that understand these communities, and understand the challenges in those communities, of course, you're going to be ruling based on the facts and the law, but you rule with some level of compassion, understanding what is before you. And I think that is key. That's very, very much key. We have to start to get people from our communities to the bench so that we can start to see some decisions that we feel reflect the way that, the things that we value. So it's really important to start to get some judges on the bench that share the same values that we have. And I think that once we can do more of that, when the titles and the headlines of the articles don't read that 70% of the bench is white, and that's not to say anything about white people, that's just to say that it's not diversified. And it's, once we can get to that space, then I hope that we can have better decisions. For me, my thought process is basically to, the campaign, my campaign's thought process is justice with understanding, integrity, and compassion, right? So that's really where my thought process is as a potential sitting judge.
Now, what do you want people to know who are going to come out to vote for you? What do you want them to know about you?
I want them to know that I am, a community servant first. And it is truly important to be able, I am representing the districts that I am from. It is truly important to start these positions that we have. A lot of times people go to the bench, they do not know who the judges are that they're voting for. They have no clue who those people are. They just go there and check the names, or they don't check the names, right? But one thing that you must know is that this position is a 10-year position. When we elect someone to the bench, we are electing them there for a decade. And you will not be electing anyone else to that position in that district for another decade if that person sits there. So you want to make sure that you get this position right, or your selection right as you possibly can, because that is when we sit down and we talk about decisions that come from the bench, that's what you will see for the next 10 years, right? So it's a 10-year commitment when you choose a person. So what I want you to know is that you need to be choosing someone who is from your community, who's been working in these communities, who's not only experienced, because experience is the bare minimum as far as I'm concerned. You need to have 10 years of experience to be a judge. Well, I'm well over that. We're at 18 plus at this point. So that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people who know these communities, who can get to the bench and rule with some level of integrity and compassion, you know, for the people in which they serve. So that's
it's not only the 10 years. It's always all civil court judges. They always want to go to Supreme Court, and that's 14 years. So in the process of that 10-year period,
yes,
you want to get elevated to Supreme Court.
Correct.
So in actuality, is a possibility you can be, once you get elected, there's a possibility you can be sitting there for 10 plus 14 or even longer. So that's why there should be so much more scrutiny paid to those who seek to become civil court judges, because a lot of those civil court judges become Supreme Court, appellate divisions, and then they become, some can become federal judges. That is an appointment for life. So your mindset and your principles are important from the beginning. So that's why it's very important that, you know, our listeners, you really scrutinize Miss Aline and understanding what her values are, and if they coincide with yours, then that's someone you need to vote into office.
Yes.
So hopefully, you know, my thing is this: once these judges get elected, I just don't forget where you come from.
Of course.
And, just call it as you see. We're not asking for preferential treatment. We're just asking to be treated fair
And equitably. Yes, of course. Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm asking for preferential treatment. I don't know what the hell John is talking about.
When you come in, as soon as I see it, you won't even have to say anything. As soon as I see the name Roderick, I know it's going to either be you or my cousin.
There you go. That does.
And you know what you're going to say? Excuse me, I have to recuse myself.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I'm getting that wrap up sign from the producer, so we have to make sure that that's done. First of all, let's before I do that. Bryant University. This is excellent school out there in Rhode Island. We used to come. I went to geek school myself. I went to Haverford, so they competed against each other in certain sports.
Yes.
Rowan College, Bates College, Bowdoin College.
Yes.
Those schools. Trust me,
ladies and gentlemen, that's all private colleges. All private, elite, elite liberal college.
And they were you might call them elite all you
liberal
want.
arts universities.
Yes, and they were great schools. I have no complaint about that. I received a good education.
I did,
and so did you. I love the fact that you went to Thurgood Marshall. For those of you people who don't know who Thurgood Marshall is, he was the first black judge, right? Appointed.
Well, I went to CUNY. Brooklyn College.
That's nice. I did go to Brooklyn College too, John. But my degrees are not from Brooklyn College. But I did go. I went to Brooklyn College. I went to Mercy, and I went to Hunter. And Andre went to Kingsborough. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Where you go, Doc?
I went to Penn State. I started at John Jay. I wanted to start with law, and I got sick of it.
So what are you talking about, John? We all have CUNY experience. I just will never go to Medgar Evers. But
listen, Thurgood Marshall was a happy meeting.
A lot of people went to Medgar. It's very successful. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, tell me about Thurgood Marshall. I'm not listening to John.
Thurgood Marshall, I am a big.
Where is that? Where is it?
It's in Houston, Texas. It's one of the 6 historically black law schools. There's only 6 of them. I am a very big advocate for.
What are the other 5?
You know what? I don't remember all of them. I'm going to tell you. There's one in FAMU. There's Howard. There is North Carolina. There's one in North Carolina. New Orleans. I can't remember all of them, to be quite honest.
There are 5.
There's 6. There's 6 in total, correct. And I'm a very big advocate for historically black law schools. They put out the most. I graduated in law in a graduating class of 300 minority attorneys. You can't find that. You know what I mean? You can't find that in a setting because regardless of what happens when we come out, the field is not as diversified as well. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to have that network, to be able to have that foundation of people, they pushed us at Thurgood Marshall. Like I told you, they taught us protect it, improve it, and pass it along. That's the way in which we were taught. School, it was a different type of teaching. I believe the relationships that I have that I built were tremendous, even with our professors. That we still have to today. So I highly recommend and encourage young people who are looking to become lawyers to look at these schools. If it might not be Harvard or anything along those lines, but as far as I'm concerned, the bar is the grand equalizer. If you go to any of these other schools and you can't pass the bar,
so would you please tell that, because I told my daughter, she goes to Temple School, and I said, when I went to law school, the one thing I look for the passage rate of the first year test takers on the bar exam. Yes. That is the key.
I tell people that all the time.
That is the key.
It's funny. I was having a conversation with somebody. I was like, you have to look at the graduation and the pass rate of whatever program you're going to. If the pass rate is crap, then the likelihood that you get a quality education is also crap. Mm-hmm. Right? So they go together. So obviously, there's no matter what school you go to, John.
No matter what, first-time test takers on the bar exam, that is what you look at, the percentage
of students who pass.
The percentage, because when I went to law school, St. John's was one of the top ones, because St. John's, we had Columbia at all. St. John's was like 91, 92%. Albany Law School was right up there with 90% first-time test takers on the bar exam.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Those are important points. Let's let's go back. We got to wrap up. So quickly asked, right? Going back, I love the fact that you give him to the community. I wonder if the mentorship program is something that you can continue as a judge. I went to a better chance, and one of the graduates has a similar program. His name is Jawad. I had a similar program. He was a judge here in New York State. As a matter of fact, he was a Supreme Court judge in New York State for for almost 30 years. And he has a program like that. Is that something that you plan to continue?
So I would love to be able to continue it. I will probably not be able to continue it as the owner of it, but I plan to be able to continue it. So like outside of the company that I have, I still do this work regularly. Like I have my own in the community youth group that I work with called the Arcanets, and that's my mentorship program that I've been doing well before that even. For the last 13, 14 years, I've been doing that. So regardless of whether, I guess what I'm trying to say is regardless of whether or not it's with the Elite Vision.
I just want to, because we have to wrap up. I just want you to tell the people, just remind them that early voting starts on the 12th.
Sure.
It's very important from the 12th
to the 20th.
And make sure that's very important, because we need to get those votes out there for you.
Yes, so, early voting is June 12th through the 20th. And the election date is June 22nd. So it is really important to get out and vote. The primary elections is when we call it. I tell people that's the important one. It is very, very important, because that's when you make the decisions as to who you want to be there. After the primaries, it's already determined to a certain degree. So you really want to do your homework, investigate the people who are on your ballot. You have the opportunity to pull your ballot beforehand. Go to Ballotpedia, look it up. Ballotpedia, look up your ballot and do your research on the candidates beforehand.
And your line what?
That's what I was about to say. Thinking.
I'm sorry?
What line are you? What line? Where do people go? Yeah.
On the ballot, where do people find it?
Oh, my line. I'm first. I'm number one. And when you look under, there's no ranked choice voting in my race. There is no.
That's important. That's important.
Right, there is. Please do not check 2 boxes in my race. No ranked choice voting in state races. So all your judge candidates are just choose one person. When you see my name, it will be the first name under civil court judge, Keisha Alleyne. And so I'm asking that you choose one name for civil court judge in Brooklyn's Municipal District 7. The first name.
Keisha, thank you.
Very quickly, how do people get in touch with you? Just real fast.
It's in KeishaAlleyne.com. It's in the chat as well. My amazing manager has put it in there as well. So it's KeishaAlleyne.com. That's KEISHA, last name ALLEYNE.com. And elect Keisha on all other social media platforms. Elect Keisha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much for all you do.
Keisha.
Thank you so much.
Brownsville in the house.
Brownsville, represent Saratoga.
The Phil.
And
Yes,
good
the Phil.
And the East too.
Yes, right. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Keisha.
That's
Good
cool.
afternoon.
How are you?
We're on the campaign trail for real. And you know, we used to work together actually.
Yes, we used to work together. All right. Thank you. Have a great one.
Take care, Keisha.
Okay.
So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us right here on The Village on 92.1 GD Radio, where it's all about the community, dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education.
We live in this happy, safe life. Let's get to the judge, man. Come on, man. We got Sarah. Come on, man.
Andre's trying to.
Let the man give his intro. Let the man give his intro.
All right, but you know, thank you.
They give it all night long. Let's get to the question it asks.
Yeah,
Come on.
John has just done the legalized thing, and he just went to the bathroom and took a couple of pulls of the edible.
Yes.
Did you see?
It's legal too. So
it's
we
legal
talking about.
too, right? He's in the studio. John, lighten up. Judge Paul,
Yes.
how are you? By the way, just for a quick question, I never asked you. So, in relation to Shirley Paul?
So no, actually, there might be some lineage because we're both from the Caribbean island of Haiti. So you know, we were tracing the lineage. So, but we haven't necessarily connected the dots yet.
Got you. You know somebody up there go, woo-hoo-hoo.
Well, Paul is my mom's maiden, part of the family. Yeah.
Nice.
So when Haiti, your family from? Just checking.
So my mother's from Port-au-Prince. My father's from Port-au-Prince.
You, Joanne?
They're from Port-au-Prince and La Boule.
Oh, level. Okay.
So they might be related. You might.
And I'm from GT.
I'm from St.
All right.
Louis.
Wind it up. All right.
Yay.
So 2 minutes, right? Tell us your background, not where you are right now, but like where you're from, where you went to school, community, that kind of comment. Just give us a little bit about your bio.
Okay, so personally, a little bit about myself. I hail from Bedford-Stuyvesant, and I'm a deacon out Mount Lebanon Baptist Church, where the Reverend Sean J. Lee is my pastor. Very spiritual and grounded. I do a lot of work through the church.
Did it say Sean Daly? D-A-L-E-Y?
Reverend Sean J. Lee.
Oh, J. Lee.
Yeah, J. Well, the middle initial is J. So Reverend Sean Lee. And let me tell you, I have to do the shout out or else they might not let me back in the church house when this campaign. I've been on a campaign trail going to so many churches. And I sat on Community Board 3 here in Bedford-Stuyvesant. I was the Director of Community Service for the Metropolitan Black Bar Association, which is an organization of minority attorneys. Right now, I'm the Secretary of what's called of Judicial Friends, which is an organization of Black judges. And I went to SUNY Stony Brook, so for all my SUNY CUNY people, shout out to us. I got a dual degree in political science and social science with a minor in child and family studies. And I also obtained a master's in public policy from Stony Brook. And then I went on to GW, George Washington Law School in DC. I'm thinking what else? How personal am I getting?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. We just wanted to know your background in regards to
people know a little bit. But you forgot to mention that you're from Haitian descent, but that's
of
right.
course, that makes a plus. That's an extra plus.
It makes
Especially since we just ended Heritage Month.
Yes, correct.
All right.
Month, right. And in May we had Haitian Heritage Month. So I'm just back to back with it. I'm back to back.
It's excellent. So you're currently a judge, right? I think the previous guest that was on, she's running for the district that you formerly represented as a judge. Am I correct? Keisha Alleyne?
Keisha Aline, she's running for the 7th Municipal District, which includes Bushwick, Brownsville, East New York. I'm the 2nd Municipal District.
Oh, right.
Crown Heights, Clinton Hill, and Ocean Hill, and some of the surrounding areas.
So you are currently a judge.
Yes. Elected in 2015 to civil court, which is the same position that she's running for. Ultimately, when you're a judge, whether you're elected or appointed, you work for the state. So they put you wherever the need is. They can put you in family court, criminal court, or civil court.
Judge, why surrogate court?
So I am passionate about this race because
Wait, before you answer, go back. You're going to answer John's question, but explain what surrogate court is first.
Okay. So surrogate's court is a place we go when our loved ones pass away, whether they had a will or they didn't. And we make sure that all of their assets and everything that they worked hard for gets from one generation to the next. We also do guardianships of mentally disabled adults. We do guardianships of minors as well as adoptions. And so when you look at surrogate's court, you're really thinking about the transfer of intergenerational wealth. And when I say wealth, it sounds like a heavy word for people who may feel like, well, it's not important to me because I don't have a lot. But every dollar, every asset matters, because ultimately this is not just about wealth. It's about preserving our family's legacy and everything that they stood for and everything that they worked hard for. When I think about surrogate's court, I think about my mother and my father. You know, they come from Haiti, and in Haiti we struggle, and we are struggling till this day with political strife, socioeconomic issues, and poverty. And so it is a struggle. And my mother was actually an orphan at the age of 8. And she was formally educated for the first time when she was 13 years old. But she came to this country poor, but rich in faith, hope, and determination. And because of her hard work and her sacrifice, I had a head start in life. I had a different experience than she did growing up. You know, I'll say, not that it was easy growing up at all, but I certainly didn't have the experience growing up that she did in Haiti as an orphan. And that's what surrogate's court is all about. It's about the idea that you preserved your legacy so much that the next generation has a little bit more than you had. And the idea that my children will have a little bit more than I had. Oftentimes, our community loses its wealth in surrogate's court. Why? Because the information in surrogate's court is public. You can identify who passed away. You can identify what their assets are. And there's something called an heirs locator. So you can do research and find out who the family members are. And oftentimes when someone wants to take advantage of the community, they go one of two places. They go to Supreme Court because that's where the foreclosure cases are. So they can identify whose house is under foreclosure and prey on that family. They go to Supreme Court because that's where the guardianship cases are. That's where someone who is aging and ill, may have assets, and in need of guardianships in their last days. They also go to surrogate's court because all of that information is public. We know in our communities we struggle with foreclosure, tax and water lien, and deed theft. I live in Bedford-Stuyvesant, so I know intimately what it means when our communities are losing their homes from one generation to the next. I'm part of an organization called the Brownstoners, and it's a civic organization. And one of the things that we do is focusing on housing and preservation. And so we have a program where we go door to door with a list of the homes that are on the tax and water lien. And we provide that home with a packet of information, lets them know their house is on the tax and water lien list. And then at the end of this program, it culminates with a workshop. In that workshop, we bring elected officials there, and we partner with the Department of Finance so that we can provide the community with resources, an exemption, or more time to pay. So these are the things that are plaguing our community. I mentioned before that I did a lot in terms of being engaged with community service. I put these programs and workshops together because I understood the disconnect between the court and access to real justice. You know, my road to become—
Doc, I just want, Judge, I just want to just jump in, because I think what is important is why you want to be a surrogate court judge, and people want to know, what are you going to do different to make sure that there is equity with respect to these estates being administered correctly, and those preventing preventing those estates from being pilfered? So, you know, why?
Yeah. So I do have a plan for the court. One, I have a record of doing work in family court. We have concurrent jurisdiction between family court and surrogate's court, which means that we have the authority to do some of the same work that overlaps. I appoint guardians in family court and adoptions. And In surrogates court, we don't have a help center. These are things that are available to us in courts like family court, where people can come in, sit down with a clerk that'll help them answer questions and fill out a petition for those who are coming before the court without an attorney. So I intend to bring a help center and mirror the types of services and resources that we have in family court. You know, people ask the question, well, why would I go to surrogates court over family court for guardianships or adoptions? People come to family court because there are resources there available. And surrogates court is antiquated, is very ancient, it is not technologically advanced. So I'm looking to bring some of those same entities and resources to surrogates court. The other thing is that in family court, when I started, we were paperless. So we didn't have physical files. Everything was electronic. In civil court, where I am now, it's all paper until the pandemic hit. And we instantly had to transition from paper files to electronic files. I watched the struggle and participated with that process of that quick transition. And that is what's happening now in surrogates court. They are just getting the technology now to have something called e-filing. So I will be able to take my experience 4 years in family court, 2 years in civil court, of that transition into this paperless system that will help advance us and move us forward. I'm also looking to bring together different initiatives that will improve the efficiency and accountability in surrogates court. So one of the things that happens if you have the occasion where you have to go through surrogates court, there is a tremendous backlog of cases. And when the pandemic hit, that made things even more dire. And I'll say this court has always been instrumental to the community, but now more so than ever, because the pandemic hit and so many people in disproportionate numbers in communities of color passed away. And so we are, as a community, truly at the doorsteps of this court.
A judge also, the big thing with, and the history of surrogate court. Surrogate court was predominantly no minorities judges were ever surrogate in Kings County. I think Diana Johnson was the first one there, and I was very instrumental in making sure that happened. And the reason is because of the so-called patronage that exists in surrogates court. And a lot of times there have been a lot of people of color, minority attorneys, that have not been a part of the appointments. Patronage is a negative word. However, it exists. And the lack of appointments, the lack of guardianships that were given to people of color. And, in the last couple of years, we had Judge Torres, Diana Johnson. We have Judge Harriet Thompson now. And because before it used to be one judge, now it's two. So, what would you change with respect to that to be more inclusive of people of color involved into the residual that exists from the surrogates court?
So I have a plan for that. One thing I'd like to do to start off with is create a pipeline, because when you talk about diversity in the court, and you're right, the attorneys who predominantly are in the field of trust and estates are not minority. And so there is something called a Part 36 list, which is what you're describing. On that Part 36 list is a list of attorneys that the surrogate can choose from and select when appointing either as a guardian to a family or to an individual who is in need of a guardian, or through the public administrator's office, there is an attorney that's part of that process. So when you pass away without a will, the public administrator's office is the one who administers your estate, and there are attorneys involved, there are accountants, appraisers. So twofold for the guardianship in that Part 36 list. It's important not only that we have a judge that is from the community, that understands the concerns of the community. You also need an attorney. If the court is going to assign an attorney to be a guardian over an individual, there should be a diverse bar of attorneys who are available to be selected from. And you will ask attorneys and they will say, I was on the list, but I don't bother being recertified every 2 years because the surrogate never selects me. So there are minorities attorneys that are on that list. They're not being selected. The other thing is, over time, there are attorneys from communities of color who don't bother getting recertified because they're never selected. So part of the thing I want to do is first be a surrogate who's conscious of that, understands what how diversity plays a role in making sure that we have true access to justice. And so just selecting a diverse group of attorneys to service our community that mirrors what our community makeup is. The other thing is to re-engage attorneys to be part of this Part 36 list, which would mean that I would go out to the minority bar associations and encourage them and re-engage them into the process and encourage them to come back, become recertified, and be added to the list, with a commitment that this is going to be a court that is inclusive and making sure that we have a bench that's reflective of the community that is looking to serve. The pipeline
I don't know if at one point in time you could appoint the public administrator, because in the last couple of years there's been a few, a month or last couple of years there's been a few between the surrogate judges and the public administrator. So it's so important that those two are of the same mindset of working together to prevent the confusion that can exist. So maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So I mentioned before that if you pass away without a will, the court itself administer your estate as if they were your loved one. And so that is done through the public administrator's office. And there's a public administrator, there's a deputy, and there's various staff that's under that public administrator. The public administrator, although they are considered a city commissioner, they are appointed or removed by the surrogate. And those two surrogates who are there have to be on one accord and decide that this person is going to be hired or this person is going to be removed. And that public administrator's office is audited by the city comptroller and the attorney general's office. So there's many layers of interplay when you talk about the surrogates court. So in terms of unity and unifying that court, it is instrumental, because without that unity and without having the same interests, which is the community first, you will have that disconnect of having a public administrator that is not working in the best interest of the community or the estate that they are pledged to ensure that they're getting every asset to that next generation. And so I would be looking to partner with the current surrogate that's there. For people who may not know, this is an open seat. So the surrogate that's there now, she's retiring at the end of this year. So it's an open seat that I'm running for. And so I'd be looking to partner. I understand there are tremendous challenges right now, not just between the staff, because there's actually challenges between the employees who are there and the surrogate, and allegations of discrimination and wrongdoing. But there's also an issue where our estate is not being properly managed. If you look at the comptroller's report, there's audit after audit of the public administrator not being in compliance. And so I'd be working diligently with the other surrogate to ensure that the public administrator's office is brought up to compliance, that there's truly a system in place to make sure our assets are safeguarded. And if the decision needs to be made after further investigation and thorough review, that the surrogate needs to be removed, then I will take the appropriate action.
The public administrator has to be removed.
Public administrator, thank you. Then I would take the appropriate action. I'm not there. I wouldn't speculate, but I certainly am coming in understanding that there's real challenges.
You know what? On election day or early election, the voters get to the section to go and vote. Why you? Why should they vote for you?
So I will be a surrogate for the people. I'm so proud to have the endorsement and support of so many unions: UFT, DC 37, TWU Local 100, Local 371, Local 372, Teamsters. And these unions have come together to support me because it is so instrumental that we have a court that is working for the community. I have a plan in place to help bridge the gap between the court and the community. I'm coming in not only with integrity and a sense of fairness and my experience in family court and civil court, but I'm coming in with compassion. And compassion is usually born out of personal experience. I mentioned my family's journey, my personal journey. I'm coming in there with the right intentions and the right goal, and that is to put the community first.
Thank you.
Why is it so important to have a will or a trust? I mean, that's something that you're gonna preside over. But we tell people that you need to create these things, and they don't, right? So tell us, why is it so important? Because now probably makes your job a little harder.
So it is important to have a will. It is important to consult with someone to start to plan your estate, because that is truly the way that you safeguard your family's legacy. Because there are entities that you can, and tools that you can use that will have you avoid surrogate's court altogether. A will still need to be probated, and which means it goes through the court system to be verified, but you can utilize a trust. And so oftentimes in our community, we will, during our lifetime, transfer the house to our children. But that may not be the best financial way to safeguard your estate, and the best financial way for that person, the parent or loved one, to really administer their estate. The best thing to do is engage in estate planning. And communities of color, oftentimes we don't like to even talk about death, much less plan for it. But truly, now is the time. We saw what happened with the pandemic. We didn't get a chance to even say goodbye to our loved ones, much less plan for death. And if you don't have an estate plan, New York State will have one for you, because there's a set of laws and statute that's set aside that will dictate how your estate is administered and distributed. So if you want to really preserve your intergenerational wealth, make sure it gets into their hands, you can engage in things like a trust, where at the time the person passes away, the assets that are in that trust automatically go to the beneficiary that you list in the trust, which means that you don't go through surrogate's court. Things like a life insurance policy has a listed name beneficiary. So when you pass away, that asset does not go through surrogate's court. So there are various ways to avoid surrogate's court to really ensure that we are capitalizing on our family's legacy.
You're muted, Roderick. Muted. Still muted.
So going back, I think you also got to pick up a UFT endorsement as well. Is that?
Yes. I have a lot of endorsements from DC 37, UFT, and other union labor workers that really kept Brooklyn and New York City moving forward during the pandemic. So I know to whom I'm coming to make sure I assure equal justice.
And so, are you Brooklyn wide, or you say Kings County? Are you just a specific section? So everybody in New York City, everybody in Brooklyn, New York City, who votes for you?
Okay, so this is for Brooklyn surrogate. So no matter where you live in Brooklyn, you'll find Paul for surrogate on the ballot. Canarsie, Flatbush, Williamsburg, no matter where you live, Judge Paul for surrogate. I believe I'm on page 3. So please take your time to go through the ballot. It will be a long one this year. Flip all the pages. The judges matter, and the judges are at the end. So oftentimes we focus in on our legislators and things of that nature, but our judges are the ones who ultimately enforce the law if it's violated. So please, I'm on page 3, and I'm number 1 on the ballot. As you mentioned before, we do not have ranked choice voting, so you would only select one. Paul for surrogate.
Yeah. All right. So just real quick, if you get selected in June, is there election in November? Quickly?
Yes. So this is the Democratic primary. This is the opportunity for all Democrats to come out and select who their candidate is. And that candidate will carry on to November's election and run against Republican, Independent, so on and so forth.
Okay, so choice votes. You had a question before we wrap up?
Well, not a question, but Judge Paul, I want to commend you for your service, and it's great to see that you have a plan going into the surrogate court, because the surrogate court is a very instrumental court, and it's about time that we continue the education of trust in the states. There's a lot of attorneys who don't practice trust in the states, but trust in the states is a field that needs to be, that we need to steer, especially young attorneys, towards that field. And I think by your youthful representation, a lot of people will be encouraged to get involved into trust in the states. So continue.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And how do people get in touch with you real fast?
So you can go on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. It's Paul for Surrogate 2021. And so PAUL and 4, not the number, FOR spelled out. So Paul for Surrogate 2021. The website is the same, paulforsurrogate2021.com. We are at 399 Tompkins Avenue in Bedford-Stuyvesant. That's our campaign office. For anyone who's interested, please come on down and help out. These are the last days and they are very crucial. And I will tell you, we have an opportunity to make history actually as the first Caribbean surrogate for the state of New York.
Let's do it.
Come on.
All right.
Bon chance.
And okay, a little Creole going on here. So, I don't want to show off my French, but it's not Creole. But yeah, God bless. I want to thank you for joining us right here in the village.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge Paul, and good luck on your campaign, and just keep up good work. Yes,
good luck.
Yes, some big plans. All right. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, that you heard a little bit from Judge Paul, who's now trying to make an elevation in Surrogate Court to become that judge and first Caribbean American individuals for that post. And so we're honored to do that. We also had Keisha Alleyne, who's running for a judge for civil court here in New York City. So we, appreciate the guests that we had today talking to you about the importance of, one is about voting, and the other guest was about health. How do you combine your health? A couple of things, John and Andre and Joanne, that's going on in the news. We talked about a cyber attack earlier on the meat market. And now we have the big thing and I'm glad these candidates were on because we talk about ranked choice voting. So one thing that we learned today, right, is that the judges are not ranked choice voting, but they only state, so they only have one selection. So you only can vote for one judge per section, right? Correct. So if it's Kings County, like Judge Dwayne Paul, they just select her. But you can also select Keisha Aline if you're in that district for the 7th municipal district. So you don't have to be. But it's only one judge per section that you're voting for. So just be careful of that. But however, with the ranked choice voting, we're looking at, the opportunity to vote 1, 2, 3 up
for
to
the
5.
Mayor's race, for the city council.
Right, everything in the city, right, that you can vote for. So that's a very interesting thing. How much time we got?
We'll talk about the debates, man.
Oh my God. Did you watch it last night?
We don't have enough time to talk about it. But I'm going to get you next week, Doc, about your candidate.
What was that, Ray McGuire? Which one?
Yeah,
Ray McGuire.
Yeah, Doc.
Which one?
I never stated who I was going to vote for. I had to see.
Yeah, Doc.
See, so
we on, Doc.
And we have to talk about edible marijuana next week too.
Oh, all right.
Wait. Hold on. Let me clean up my ears. That we said it again.
No.
Marijuana. There must be something.
No, Doc.
The reason why is because Yeah.
All right, Doc.
All right. So there must be something negative about the marijuana where she's so happy to talk about it. Okay, it can't be nothing positive. We know Dr. Brian, right? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us right here on The Village, 92.1 GD Radio. It has been a pleasure where we're dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us to realize our dream at any age, at any point, starting from today. Success is not just spoken, it is done. What are you doing to be successful? God bless, and we'll see you next week, Thursday, with some edibles just for us.
Dr. Brian.
Good night, all.